Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake
technology
of it. But
increase, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes.
Because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and I am excited to be here. I'm excited every week, and I hope you are too. And I hope you're joining us every week because every Wednesday, 1 p.m., we are coming at you live, bringing you amazing guests, people who are accomplished. We've got authors, we got speakers, we got people who have succeeded at various levels in all different industries, all bringing in their experience, their stories, and what they have done to overcome and win in what they do. And that's how we all learn. Look, Steve and I, my co-host, Steve Spiro, we go back about 26 years. We're two former shy guys, two introverts who have overcome, who become networking masters. And not that we've mastered it, but we have mastered it for ourselves. We know what to do. We've overcome a lot to get here. And we just want to be able to inspire people to do the same. We know it's all about creating connections and building community. And so we got a great show for you today. Today's show is all about the 2% mentality. Now, I'm really excited to see this because when it comes to mindset, it's my favorite thing in the world because mindset, before I learned a lot of other skills, made all the difference in paving the way for me to acquire a lot more hard skills. So stay tuned because we got an amazing guest. We're going to talk about that. And listen, if you want to know what the upcoming shows are, go to masterconnector.show. And we have got ourselves booked out into 2025, believe it or not, with, again, amazing guests coming to bring you value. So listen, let's not delay any further. Let's bring him on, the Master Connector, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's going on, Rob G? How you doing, sir? Good to see you again. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's great. And listen, masterconnector.show, if you want to tune in and you're having some challenges, you go into masterconnector.show and we have the link live on the website if you're having trouble. So make sure if you can't find how to get on live every week, go to masterconnector.show. The show that's up this on a Wednesday, you should be able to click that link and it'll take you live here, and so you don't miss every week. But what's going on, friends? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And I'm excited. So definitely listen, this is the Master Connector Show. So we want you in here in the comments like Daniel has done, right? Yes, we started, Daniel. Hopefully you're on with us now. But if you're on here, tune in from, tell us where you're from, what city, what state, what country. We appreciate you. We do this. Rob and I do this because of you. This is not our show, Rob and I. This is our show. It's our community show. And we just love adding value. So make sure you're getting in the comments. We love LinkedIn participants. We don't believe in LinkedIn lurkers. So you're in there, put your comments, connect with each other, because this is the Master Connector Show. And make sure you do some follow-ups, right? So it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. But today we're gonna have some fun today. And so listen, life is unpredictable, filled with unexpected twists and turns, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. I don't know if you've ever felt that. I have, right? However, it's not the adversity itself, but how we respond to it, right? That truly defines us. 2% that make it are those who develop the habit of pushing through when most people quit. I say it all the time. If you don't quit, you win, right? On stages, I love speaking about how these high achievers create rapid results through discipline, resilience, and a relentless drive. No matter how, what the odds are and they're stacked against you, never underestimate the power of the belief in yourself and your abilities, right? I believe that everyone has a seed of greatness within us, and you have tremendous abilities when you dig deep and access it, right? The 2% understand that hope is not a strategy. It's action. Action, action, action. Action cures fears. I love speaking about that. My favorite book, Magic and Thinking Big. Action cures fears, right? They consistently set clear goals, take ownership of their actions, and surround themselves with people who lift them up. This show is all about uplifting and positive and trying to encourage you and build you up, right? So, life will throw us curveballs. It always does, right? But the mindset that pushes you beyond setbacks is what separates the successful from the average. It's about stepping up, taking control, and knowing that you have the power to shape your future. So if you're ready, I want you to type into the comments right now, #let's go. And I'm going to have my man, Robbie G, introduce you. And before you do, I just want to acknowledge, we also have Joshua on the show here, tuning in from Fairfield, Connecticut. Hey, Josh, good to see you, sir. Anyway, Robbie G, I'll turn.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Listen, without further ado, Roderick Jefferson is a senior executive with over 20 years of sales enablement leadership experience. He's also an acknowledged practitioner and keynote speaker in the sales enablement space who understands how to create bridges between internal organizations to empower sales to exceed expectations. Roderick is the author of the Amazon #1 new release and best-selling book, Sales Enablement 3.0, The Blueprint to Sales Enablement Excellence. He's one of the founding members of the Sales Enablement Society and has served on several advisory boards, including Autobound and Capella University. When not working on sales enablement projects and programs, he can be found perfecting the art of barbecuing or playing on his bocce court in his backyard with his family. Please welcome to the show, Roderick Jefferson. What's up, Roderick?
Thanks for the invitation, guys. I have been looking forward to this one all morning long. So thanks again for letting me be here, and I can't wait to dive in.
Yeah, we're pumped to have you on the show here. It's an honor having you on here. Roderick, we want to dig in here and kind of talk a little bit about mentality, right? We're talking about 2% mentality.
Absolutely.
So community, type in #mentality. And we have a lot to cover. So I'm digging right into it, right? Okay. So I hope you're okay with that. By the way, I want to welcome Yolanda, amazing community member. She's welcoming you, Roderick. And we've got, looks like Mohammed Russell. I think MD stands for Mohammed, if I'm not mistaken. And, Joshua saying, let's go. So we appreciate it. So let's talk about mentality. Type in #mentality in the comments, guys. But what do you believe sets the 2% mentality apart from the rest when facing unpredictable challenges in life?
Great question. I think, why don't we go back to the future and explain what I mean by 2% mentality first?
Yes.
And I think that would kind of set the table for the rest of our conversation.
Because
I hear a lot of, I'm in the 1%. I want to be in the 1%. And people always ask me, why have you settled for 2%? Well, there's a really good reason here. And so 2.5 years ago, I actually had a massive stroke where I actually coded. I died. They brought me back, thankfully. Right. And what I realized after that, in talking to my cardiologist and talking to my neurologist, is I had a sleep stroke. 98% of people never actually wake up. So I am part of that 2% club, which now leads to the 2% mentality. Now, I think I have kind of had that going, but I didn't know how to put a title to it. And so the reason I choose that is all the things that I've done partially that got me to the stroke in some cases, right? The stress and things that came with, but all of the processes and the different programs. And to your point, the mentality and the mindset of 2% is what has pushed me to be able to be successful in both personal and my professional life.
Love that. That's great. Yeah. I took it for granted because, I know that there's a Pareto principle. I didn't even think between the 1 and the 2%, there's the 20-80 rule. And I've also heard it breaks down when you get to 20-80, because that 20%, you break it down again. And in my mind, that's kind of how you got to 2%, because it keeps breaking down. But I appreciate a little bit of the clarity on that.
Absolutely.
Rob, you have a question? Looks like you might have a question.
Well, yeah, first of all, I just want to say, thank God you overcame that. And look, I mean,
Thank you.
Not everybody's going to have a story where they actually died and came back. But listen, I believe that a lot of that kind of thing happens to certain people, so you can bring your story and your message to people,
right,
to show them that you can come back, you can overcome. And look, I obviously wouldn't wish it on anybody, but you're bringing your experience, your perspective, and the 2% mentality to people who could probably use it. Its message is going to resonate with a lot of people. I just appreciate you coming here and sharing that story, that personal story.
Thanks so much for that, Rob. I appreciate that. Now let me take that to those that have never, and I truly pray that they never do actually have a stroke. Unfortunately, 1 out of every 4 people over the age of 25 will actually have a stroke. So my hope is that I'm talking to the other 3 people that are in this, as well as that fourth, because really it's about, to your point, it's about persistence and overcoming and what it takes to unlock potential that enables all of us, if we tap into it, to push through setbacks, learn from both successes and failures, as well as how to achieve our goals with that, what I call unwavering determination to overcome challenges and adversities. Look, we all go through something every day.
Sure.
It's not, as it's been said, it's not what happens to you. It's really about how you react to and what you do with it. That 2% to me is, and you said it best just a few minutes ago, Steve, it's quitting's not an option.
Right.
It's how am I going to figure out how to get to this? I was laying in bed. I was unable to talk. I went snow blind, couldn't see. I lost the use of my left leg and my left arm.
Sheesh.
Now, from stroke to stage, as a keynote speaker, can you imagine how much of a personal hell that was to be locked in my head and couldn't speak?
Wow.
I'm back on stages talking now for a number of reasons. One, an enormous amount of prayer and support, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. But it all started with that mentality of, I'm not the victim. The stroke didn't own me. We'll change the stroke to problem. Didn't own me. I refuse to let it. I was going to do what I've done my whole life, whether it was as a high-level athlete, whether it was about a corporate executive, whether it was about as a dad and husband, etc. And that is, I can either stay and wallow in this, and let me be clear, it's okay to have a pity party from now and then, right? I think it's required.
Yeah.
But what I've always done is put a time frame around it. All right, we're done. Now get back on the horse.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to come and wake you up and go, this is time for you to get going. If it's not in you, find it. Right? If you've got it in your circle, tap into those folks. Also, asking for help is a big piece of that 2% mentality. Because for so long, especially when you get to a certain level professionally, you're supposed to know everything. You're the answer person. No, you're not. You're human. And that's the other piece about the 2% mentality. It's about allowing who you are to overshadow what you do. Don't get me wrong. I'm very proud of all of the accomplishments and accolades. But you know what? All those things and $7 will get me a latte. You know what I mean? It's great. Really about
really.
Depends on where you go. Right?
Yeah,
it's all about how can you help others, and that mentality of 2% also allows and also points into give to give. Don't assume that it's about give to get all the time. No, you as the master connector know, Steve, there's a lot of times you're probably going to be able to help people more than they can help you.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because I don't think the universe works in tit for tat.
No.
It's I give to give, and invariably I get something back. For me, it may be an accident that may have happened. Nope, didn't happen. Or I woke up today and I have the opportunity to meet some incredible people, be able to share my story, as well as hopefully put them on a track away from the things that I've dealt with.
Absolutely.
I got to jump in there for a second. I know, Steve, you want to move on, but Roderick said so many amazing things that I'm like, I just want to respond to, but I'm going to respond to one. And when you said the universe doesn't work in tit for tat, let me tell you something. In my own experience, now I was a guy who was clueless and almost skillless. The only skill I had, I was trained in graphic design. That's the only thing I was trained in. Otherwise, I didn't learn anything else. I was a C student in school, and I got passed through high school. I should never have graduated, honestly. But I did, and I overcame a lot of things. But the thing that I've noticed is when you give to give, like Roderick said, I could give to you and give to you and give to you, and you may not give back to me. But then out of the blue, I get an email, I get a phone call, and somebody goes, hey, would you like to be able to be on the receiving end, or whatever it is, a collaboration, a gift, a reward, an opportunity? And you go, wow, that came out of nowhere. No, it didn't.
No, you sowed and now you're reaping.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And you didn't sow it for reciprocity. You did it because it was the right thing to do.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
And
No doubt.
also you wanted to do the right thing, but you also did the thing right, if that makes sense. And I think when all of those things start to intersect, that's when you better be prepared. Let's talk about preparation for a quick second.
Yeah.
What's the old adage? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Right. That my 2% mentality that I live in every day and try and embody doesn't happen by accident. Right. There is a plan with flexibility, right? In the approach to everything I do. And I think once you start building that consistency, that now becomes a habit, that becomes just a part of who you are, people will notice it and you will start to see results right away.
That's great. I love that, man. So many good nuggets there. This community, I hope and pray that you are listening close, taking notes, get in the comments if you have any questions. Man, just so many great nuggets there. I just want to, go back to a couple things. Number one, huge believer in the law of reciprocity. And you touched on that, and I could reiterate what Rob said. I mean, I've had the best financial years of my entire life, and it's because I made a decision to be a go-giver. I love the book by Bob Berg, be a go-giver, and you give. I love that. You give to give, not give to get. It's incredible. And I speak a lot on stage about that as well. And our show is based off of that. But I also want to talk about how, when you had this incredible challenge, and we all have them, how that shapes us. I mean, my challenges, certainly wasn't a stroke, but I've had, dyslexia, and I believe that became one of my best strengths. I've had people say, you shouldn't speak that. You're giving life to that. Well, for me, it's been a great blessing. It's like, talks, you hear about, Paul's thorn in the side, right? There's different stories you hear about, but it became a blessing for me because it gave me creativity to problem solve, right? So I want to talk about response. So community, type in #response. So you kind of touched on, I want to dig in deeper and kind of go back a little bit. But in your opinion, how does someone's response to adversity shape their path to success? Let's dig in a little bit here on this one.
Well, I think it comes down to, if something of high adversity, whether it be stress, whether it be change, whether it be drama, whatever it is, if it doesn't change you, then you really didn't pay attention to it. Because when something like that happens, my first thought, first of all, even with the stroke, I never thought, why me? Right? I wasn't the victim. So you've got to kill that mentality first. Yep. I always ask a simple question. Is this a learning for me or for someone in my circle? You may never get the answer to it, but what it does, again, is it frames your mindset to say, there's a lesson to be learned here. So, and my whole thing is, you never know who's watching you, who you're impacting. And everyone wants to be an influencer. No, it's who are you impacting? And it can be with your words. It can be with your actions. It can be with your mentality. It can be just simply with your presence. And when it comes to fighting back from adversity, believe me, people are watching. They're watching for one of two reasons. One, this person made it. I know I can. It's not possible. It's now probable. The other one is, and sad to say, but sometimes I hope they don't make it. But it also gives you a chance to go, nice try. Right. I'm going to make it, because I'm not going to give up until I get there. And so what it did was, it gave me a chance to reshape things. When something big like that happens, it can even be a death. It can be a change of job. It can be whatever it is. My first thought is, what should I be doing different? And after my stroke, what I got out of that was what I call my 4 F's: faith, family, friends, and fun. Everything outside of that doesn't really hit my radar the way it used to. Even things like, when I'm out on the freeway, allegedly there may have been some road rage once or twice. Right? It doesn't even matter now. I'm like, okay, you need to be in front of me. Fine, go. It's not that big of a deal. Right. Exactly. And then when you really start looking at things into what matters, the question is, why is this important to you? Is this just an ego stroke? Oh, I wanted that title. I wanted that promotion. I wanted my name in lights. Is it an opportunity to be able to help others? The way people always ask, so after all of this, how would you describe yourself in one sentence? And I always say this: I'm an average guy was an amazing platform to be able to help a hell of a lot of other people. I may not be able to make your life easier, but my goal is after we've met that it's somewhat better. And if that's the mentality that you walk in, and I always assume best intent. Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense going on out there right now, geopolitically, blah, 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 blah. And if you believe that everything is horrible, then everything is horrible.
Right.
If you think that there's positivity, there is. And I see something positive every day. I'm not the guy walking around with the halo around me going, ooh, I'm looking for positivity. No, you know what? It can be as simple as I went out the other night, and whenever we go out to eat, I have a goal. My wife always looks at me. She's like, I know it's coming. I want to make our waiter or waitress just smile one time, because it may be the only smile they get all day.
Yeah.
Right. When I'm on social media, I'm not out there trying to be, Mr. Motivational. No, what I'm doing is sharing what I'm going through. And I'm talking about good, bad, and ugly, because we both know life is not always about rainbows and unicorns.
That's right.
I go back to what I said. It's not about what happens to you. It's about how you respond to it.
I love that. Yeah, I heard it said you're either winning or you're learning, right? And you're going back to what you were talking about, right?
How about if I give you a different set of lenses on that? Something my mom used to say when I was a kid. You either learn how to or how not to. Either way, you learn.
There you go. You learn either way. I love that. Yeah. And you were talking about belief, right? And there's different ways you can go with that, but I want to talk about belief a little bit. So community, type in #belief. And one of the things that I've realized is success is really difficult if you don't truly believe in yourself, right? So I want to talk a little bit about that. It took a long time for me to really get some belief in myself. So here's the question: how does the power of belief in yourself impact your ability to overcome odds that ultimately seem impossible? How'd you respond to that?
That's a great question. First of all, nobody wins alone, right? And I know it sounds cliche, but it really takes, and I don't believe it takes a village of people. I believe it takes a village of people that know their role, whether it's personally or professionally, your own personal, board of directors, etc. And it starts with guys, and I say this to you too. If you don't believe in yourself, why should I believe in you?
Right.
Right. You've got to set the bar. And the old adage of we teach people how to treat us, but it also comes down to people are watching how you treat yourself.
That's good. It's really good.
Right? And so what I've learned is I don't think there's truly a philosophy of work-life balance. I think it's about work-life integration. And it comes down to setting boundaries on what you will do, how far you will go. There's times in our job, all of us, we've done 10, 12, 14-hour days, but you can't do that every day.
No.
Right. You've got to take time and go recharge your batteries. For me, as you said earlier, it's my bocce court. Right. And I just started playing it on a whim and I fell in love with it. And then I also realized that it's a game that requires that you have a cocktail in your hand at all times. How is that not fun? Right.
I'm gonna jump in there for a second, Roderick, because what you said actually struck a chord with me. Because as we go through life and we are connecting with people, we're learning from people, even from afar. I remember years ago, I was reading. I think it was his autobiography, but Richard Branson's autobiography, Like a Virgin, which I highly recommend.
Great.
Because, he is the perennial entrepreneur, adventurer, and he was being interviewed. And the interviewer said, here's a guy who owns over 400 companies, right? So how do you do that? And they said, well, how do you approach work-life balance? And here's what he said, and it impacted me instantly. He said, there is no work and there is no play. It's all just living. And so that fluidity of, you can see when he is working, he's enjoying, he's playing. The guy parachutes into the opening of a store, or he's working while he's entertaining on the island he owns, Necker Island. So, that fluidity, and like you're saying, the integration, I think is so key, because if you delineate, that means you have to compartmentalize and work, and it feels like a grind just so maybe you can reward yourself with play. But then it's like, well, I'll just work a little bit longer, and maybe you don't leave time for play. And
Yep.
that does not equal fulfillment in my experience.
Yep. Love that. Good stuff. Well, we're getting to the top of the bottom of the hour, so I want to kind of get things wrapped up here. And there's so many other things we could talk about, but tremendous conversation, Roderick.
Thank you.
And yeah, I want to touch on control a little bit, right? And I heard it said, Rob and I have an incredible friend in our life. He used to say it all the time: control the controllables, right? And I want to give the audience something that, from your perspective, which is amazing, that 2% mentality. What they, some things tangible things they could take and run with. So on the topic of control, how important is it for people to control their actions and decisions, especially in unpredictable times?
I'll answer it this way. Focus on the things that you can touch and impact. Everything else is just noise. And there's a lot of noise out there.
A lot of noise.
You are not here to perennially save the planet, right? What you are here to do is to provide kind of guides, be that roadmap, be that example of doing others. And don't do things to be an example. Be an example because you do things the right way. And that also comes down to what you do of building those routines I talked about earlier. Every single day, I do the same thing. Before I look at my email, because otherwise you're firefighting all day, I write up a list of 3 things professionally that I'm going to do today before I turn off my laptop. And that 4th one that you put on there is one personal thing. We always seem to leave that out on our to-do list. Back to your fun piece that you were just talking about, Raji. That 4th is one thing. It can be, I'm going to the gym. It can be, I'm going for a walk. The other day was, I wanted a slice of apple pie, and I was going to get that pie today, right? But by putting that on there, again, to your point, it intertwines that work and play, because it's all one life. It's a matter of how you build up around those pieces of kind of, not barriers, but guidelines of what you will do and how far you'll go with those. And Rob, I agree that compartmentalizing can be bad. It can also be a good thing sometimes. And what I mean is, there's times where I'm working so hard and I'm like, I got to get outside, just go get some fresh air. I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I have canceled meetings in the middle of a day to go, I just need to go get some sun on my face, because I'm no good to them if I can't bring all of me to a meeting, to a conversation, to a podcast, whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen to that. That's great. And I want to jump on and start singing the John Legere "All of Me" song here. But no, we're not going to do that. We're going to spare the audience. But well, as we wrap up here, I know you did an incredible job and bringing. It's just today was an absolute nugget fest, in my opinion.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Incredible sound bites that hopefully everyone is taking advantage of. Can you tell us what the best way, wrap up, of any closing thoughts, and what's the best way for our community to reach you and to take advantage of you as a
Absolutely. Thanks for that. I always say, if you can't find me on social media, you're not trying. Because on LinkedIn, Roderick Jefferson; on Instagram, Roderick_J_associates. You can find me at my company website, Roderick Jefferson, or you can hit me on email at info@roderickjefferson.com.
That's great. Well, we appreciate you, sir. We're going to have you.
And I can't forget YouTube.
YouTube. Absolutely.
Right? Roderick Jefferson.
There you go. Appreciate you. We're going to have you jump into the green room, but we appreciate all you do. And thank you for blessing our community.
Thank you to you and your audience for this opportunity. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Robbie G, I'll pass it to you, sir.
Always good stuff. Look, hope audience, you're tuning in and interacting, because this is the kind of great stuff that it takes, that you're going to learn in order to overcome and further your goals and your desires and your dreams. And Roderick really brought it today. So appreciate you all coming out. And look, the overcoming story that Roderick told, everybody has an overcoming story. And, Steve Spiro, he has overcome stuff. He talked about his dyslexia, which cannot be easy to when you're an entrepreneur, because you have to write, you have to speak. And, that is a hindrance, that something he overcomes on a daily basis. So look, he wrote a book, and I want you to pick up this book. Highly recommend it, The Tao of a Master Connector, The Way an Introvert Became a Master Connector. I mean, Steve owned a business at a young age. He holds 2 black belts in 2 different martial arts disciplines. He's a successful entrepreneur and speaker and overcome a lot. So you want to read that book, because I heard a long time ago, if you want to be successful, read the minds of successful people, and the best ways through books. So I'm going to bring Steve back up. Close out.
Thank you, bud. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's amazing. And speaking of incredible people, Roderick was amazing. He brought the heat today. Next week, October 9th, episode 183, we're going to have Gateways to Your Gifts with Keith Shaw. We've had him on before. He is incredible. I know he's reinventing himself, so get ready for some new stuff. But and if you're looking to be a sponsor, I know Russ Hedge just joined our show and chiming in here. So, hey, Russ, good to have you. Russ has been one of our sponsors of some of our shows. If you want to be our sponsor, go to masterconnector.show and you can learn more about that and also the upcoming episodes as we speak about. But I want to close with a final story here, right? So a young entrepreneur named Sarah started her bakery with nothing but a small loan and a dream, right? Sometimes you just need a dream, right? Facing constant financial challenges and personal doubts, while most would have quit after her early failures, she embraced the 2% mentality, believing in her ability to succeed and adapting to every obstacle. Today, her bakery is one of the most successful in her city, proving that the relentless self-belief and resilience are the key to turning setbacks into success. Remember, community, to always believe in yourself, be relentless, and always shine your light. We'll see you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives